This week in our collective heads, wanna put an old rumor to bed. Stereotype that you've all heard, how we're all just angry video game nerds. Most of us have actual jobs, kids and families and cats and dogs, yeah. This week in our collective heads, this week in our collective heads.
Welcome to This Week in Our Collective Heads. I'm Kevin, joined as always by Patrick, the man who is taller than all of his dogs stacked on top of each other.
That's true. That's true. I want to try that. Well, if you're here, you may or may not know what we're doing here. We're doing gaming news. And if you like video games and you like news that's not overly political usually, then you come to the right place, because we try to give you actual gaming news and give you the context of why these things matter. And I think a lot of gaming news publications and regular news publications that try to talk about gaming, they don't understand what they're talking about. And that's what we fill in here. We give you the context and tell you why things matter and why you should care about the things that we say, because you should always care about the things that we say.
So we've got a couple of things in backwards compatibility, which is our first topic whenever we get a chance. We have Mafia 2 and Prey coming to backwards compatibility. Unfortunately, we've played both of those, so we don't get to play the game where we make up the game.
Well, I've played Mafia 2, but I've not played Prey for Xbox 360, which is the one that is backwards compatible. Because this is not the Prey that you have. I've never played this series. I've never played this game, which doesn't really have anything to do with the, or doesn't have as much to do with the Prey game that came out. What was it, last year?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So is this Prey?
This is Prey.
Okay.
This is Prey, and I mean, I could make up stuff about it, but I didn't want to circumvent the gravity that is, you're not getting the new Prey backwards compatible. You're getting old
speaking
Prey.
of circumventing gravity, there was definitely some gravity circumvention going on in that that trailer.
That's true. We also got some free games coming out free weekend that is this weekend right now. So if you're watching live, then that happened. If you're watching later on, I'm sorry you missed it. That's why you should watch us live. Overwatch is free this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So always good. We talk a lot about Overwatch, so we'll move on to something we don't talk about a lot that I don't like to talk about as much. Sports. So sports balling through baskets is this is the 18th edition, I think. Sports ball baskets 18, right?
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, so that's free for the weekend. Xbox only, right?
Yes, that's part of their free play weekend.
Yep, and rounding out the list, which it's a very varied list, I will say that. Yeah. Rainbow Six Siege, free for the fifth time, I want to say.
Something like that, yeah.
Which, I mean, I'm good on them for keeping, they're being very insistent and pushing this because they want people to play it. It's a very unique game. There are a lot of shooters out there, but the realism involved and the destructive environments, the different ways you can complete missions, almost reminds me of Hitman and the malleability of the level design to be able to complete in different ways. And you can't destroy walls, but there's different ways to complete missions, saving hostages, and it's really cool. So I'm really glad that they're giving it, showing people or giving people a chance to play it for free, because it's great. And I forgot to mention, we were talking about backwards compatible games, Mafia 2 and Prey are discounted for Xbox, which is another great thing to do. Say, hey, guess what? These are backwards compatible. If you don't have them, you can go ahead and pick them up. Like, that's a really great business way to say, this is here. You can play it on the console that you have, if you didn't play it before, if you sold it and you want it in your catalog again, here you go. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. So moving on from free weekends to free weekends in the future, Sea of Thieves is having a stress test on the 16th to the 18th, and that's going to be available for insider Xbox Insider, which I think is like the beta tester for their OS systems, right?
It is, and I've been considering signing up for it. Honestly, the biggest reason that I haven't signed up for it is because what the Insider does, because you're testing out their new stuff, they'll roll out updates more often. They also roll out updates to the layout, and it may or may not be something that's permanent. I think that I'm now in a situation where I could sign up for it. It wouldn't be a problem. The biggest thing that was holding me back in regards to that was that we use the Xbox for media streaming. So when Whitney wants to watch TV, that was kind of her way to do it. And for her, relearning the technology each time, relearning the layout is frustrating. But I'm excited about Sea of Thieves. I have pre-ordered this, and Owen and a couple of his friends have pre-ordered it as well. So we're going to be a pirate crew.
I really enjoy and look forward to hearing your stories about that, because I think that this is a game that's very much like Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War set up systems that allowed you to get your own stories in. And Sea of Thieves seems like that they have basically set up a series of systems that will interlock, that will allow people to make their own stories. And I'm really looking forward to hearing those.
There's some great ones. I mean, I've watched quite a few people who played the beta, who played the free weekends, and watching like people who got like a full crew together and they were taking on other full crew pirate ships.
Yeah.
And you have situations where I watched one that was about 25 minutes long where they were attacking different boats, but they ended up sinking this boat. The boat that they sank had dumped their treasure before they got into the battle. So they were saying, "Oh, we don't have any loot for you," but they're literally talking to the people, because you're talking to other players, and you're like,
proximity.
Good.
Proximity chat is just one of the most brilliant things that they've done with this game, in my opinion, because it allows for that level of interaction. I also think it's hilarious that you can throw people into the brig.
You can, and that's what they were actually discussing. They were like, "Well, we don't have loot for you," because they were like, "Well, what do you have that we can take? Because we beat you fair and square." They basically had a ceasefire, because they sunk the boat. They got on an island and they were shooting each other. And the captains called for a ceasefire and met and discussed the terms of surrender. And
that is awesome.
It was really cool to see that. And you had situations where they're like, "Okay, well, we don't have loot, but you can like," they were basically saying, "All right, well, I'll be, you can take me as a slave to like work on your ship." And the amount of role playing that was involved really surprised me.
Absolutely.
Because they were, and then it just, those unique stories those are unique stories that the game didn't come up with. That was a unique situation that the players came up with. Additionally to that, they talked about the end game content more, because previously we were just playing the beta. I didn't get to play it, but I watched a lot, and everyone was saying, "Okay, but what else do we have?" And we got some more details on that in regards to end game having like the Kraken and other kind of sea monsters. Also, your notoriety as a pirate goes up for basically as it increases. You get different perks. The one that people were talking about the most was getting your own like pirate cove. So it's apparently hidden, awesome. And you can't get to it until you've gotten like it was in the beta and no one could get to it. Because you can't get to it until you're into. So I don't know exactly how they build that. I'm really curious if it's like a what was it that World of Warcraft did, the instanced leveling. So that way, if you're a certain level, you can see an opening or something that other people couldn't see, and if you do it subtle enough, I think it'd be really cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There's I also listened to an extended interview with the one of the head devs, and he said that a lot of people were saying, after the beta is completed, they're like, "Oh, we've seen like 1% of the game," and other people were saying like, "No, we've seen like 99% of the game." And he's like, neither one of you are even close to right. There's a lot of stuff out there, and this is not all of the game, but it's also it's a fair representation of what the game is going to be.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens once it launches. And I don't actually watch a lot of gameplay, but again, with proximity chat, they've set up systems that I think are going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm really liking that.
Yeah.
It's so intuitive. I mean, you don't even have to. I mean, you can yell at someone who's on a boat near you, but if you go too far away, they can't hear you anymore. It's like that's perfect. That's perfect. On to some older games. Go ahead.
Last thing about that is that if you send your crew onto the island and you only have one person left to guard the boat, if that person gets in trouble, it can be difficult for them to signal, hey, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. It's like this, it's the risk reward system in this game that they've built into it. Systems are amazing.
That's really cool. I didn't think about that.
So yeah, we could have talked about this during our discussion, but the Spyro remaster has been announced, and it's coming this year.
Yeah, Spyro the Dragon, the first Spyro from the original PlayStation.
Yeah, and I think I plan to have the girls play this because this seems like something that they would get a kick out of.
Oh, Spyro is hilarious. It's fun. It's intuitive. I'm hoping that the remaster, that the controls are a little better because the jumping can be a little challenging in it. This was PlayStation, so this is people forget the PlayStation era was basically the first era of real 3D games. PlayStation and you had N64 were the first of that, so the controls can be wonky because of that. They were trying to figure that out.
Yeah, and like Mario 64 did really, really well, but like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro and there's just a lot of things that people were still trying to figure out. Like the very first game to whenever they released the second controller for the PlayStation that had the dual analog sticks, there was an Alien versus Predator or Alien Predator game that actually used dual stick controls, and they actually knocked them in the review for that. They were like, this control scheme, it's clever, but it's just really, really hard to work with. And I found that the other day, and I thought that was pretty darn funny. So yeah, and they updated some things. I mean, this is a remaster, and so we'll see how the controls work and stuff, because I know that with the Insane trilogy, with going back to Crash, there were some control issues that they ended up coming in. So we'll see how this plays once it comes out. But I'm excited about it because I didn't actually play Spyro the first time around.
I did, so I'm happy about it. Something I did not play, have not played at all, is For Honor. And we got sorry, I thought I had video for that. I'll set that up. We got some news on For Honor that they're going to add co-op boss battles, and I didn't know that wasn't a thing.
Yeah, the whole thing has been PvP, and that's one of the reasons that it never appealed to me. And so it was the 1v1 or the 2v1 battles, but they're introducing new versions, and I like the idea of going up in a 2v1 because I really like when they can really scale the difficulty of something. And like whenever I'm playing a Souls game, I really get a kick out of that. And so I look forward to checking out how well that works and what kind of bosses they're going to be, because like if you can fight Nobunaga Oda, I'll check that out, because like that dude's a bamf. Or if you can fight like Eric the Red, that would be awesome.
Well, I don't think they've added new bosses. I think they just made it so you can now co-op the bosses.
Oh, okay.
So
well, then maybe I'll check out the bosses and see if it's somebody I want to kill, because I do like killing in video games. I'll be specific about that.
Only in video games. Yeah.
Only in video games.
See, and there's another game that recently came out, and I'm just blanking on the name. I was gonna write it, put it down in my notes. It's a uber realistic medieval game, so like this, but apparently
Kingdom Come Deliverance.
That's what it was. Yeah. So it's something I want to look into, because that I believe has PvE, and that's what I didn't want about For Honor. So I'm like, I don't want to fight people who are really good at this. I would love to jump into this and like do these sieges as like a PvE kind of thing, where it's like, you know, a couple of my friends take on a bunch of bots, you know, not necessarily Dynasty Warriors levels of massacre. Like I want to strategically take on a siege.
Well, and I've heard it's another game that has great systems that let people kind of figure out their own stories. Like one of the players like punched a guard and got thrown into the brig, and then as a result of some other things the brig caught fire, and he was like, oh, okay, so this is a thing where I escaped from the brig because it caught on fire. And it's like, no, you punched a guard and happened to be in the brig, and the brig caught fire and you died.
Wow.
Because medieval times were awful, and the only way you should ever experience them is via video games, because you get to try again.
Yep. I had no idea they had a brig. I thought it was just a bunch of people attacking.
You can get thrown into jail. And
I had no idea. I just thought it was a siege. I mean, I didn't think it was that realistic.
No, this is Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
What I'm talking about.
That's cool. That's really cool. So I need to check out more of that, because I think that's really cool. It's a very immersive. But I know I'm going to be playing Sea of Thieves, so I got to worry about which games I'm playing. Which games I'm playing? I'm playing Monster Hunter. I'm going to play Sea of Thieves, and I'm really enjoying like these type of games. It's a different level of multiplayer, different type of multiplayer than I've played in the past, and it's been really positive. Like these are the kind of multiplayer games that I enjoy. I like to play games where I can enjoy and tell and have stories and share experiences, like couch co-op basically. But I can do that via the internet, and you know, have these pirate attacks or, you know, sieges. Like I really like that kind of stuff, and it's a really cool time to be a gamer.
and speaking of things that we like, Rocket League plus Hot Wheels. This is a combo that's kind of amazing. But Hot Wheels RC is a thing where they're bringing remote control, I mean, hence the RC, remote control Hot Wheels, and I don't know if they're going to put a ping pong ball in there or what, but basically they're setting it up so that you can do Rocket League in real life. Less wall riding, I'd imagine.
Less wall riding, because we have physics that you know, and I don't think they're, judging by the map that they brought out and everything, it doesn't look like it was that three-dimensional, and it does say there it's not the final art, you know, we're just trying this out. So there's a charging base, so this is Hot Wheels, so it's not, I mean, because it's Hot Wheels, that means they're not going to be remote controlled, right? This is going to be
they're remote controlled.
They are remote controlled? Okay, that's really cool.
So don't know. Get this for my nephew. I don't know. Right?
Yeah.
It sounds really cool. We don't have a lot of details, but it is coming out this fall, and it's going to have two of the first cars, the Dynamo, and I don't remember the other one. But they're going to have two of the original Rocket League cars as versions of Hot Wheels, and I'm curious if they'll let you have like a jump button, like even if it was just like a little bump where you could like kind of boost stuff up over. So this is definitely something that I'm going to keep an eye on. But yeah,
I'm a big kid. I'd play it.
Yeah, and then the last big piece of news that we have is THQ Nordic has bought Koch Media, which is unrelated to the Koch brothers and all the corporations that exist here in the United States. It's a company over in the, I don't know. It's Nordic.
Yeah,
very Nordic.
I'm gonna say Netherlands.
Yeah, but they've bought Koch Media, which includes Deep Silver, and at first I was like, well, that's bad, because THQ Nordic, I mean, they haven't published anything, and I know that they ended up with a bunch of the THQ licenses and stuff, but I looked into it, and they're the ones that have made the Darksiders and the definitive editions, and they're doing the Darksiders 3, and they're doing some other games, but like they've managed to come up with some interesting things, and they've managed to be putting games out since about 2011,
Yeah.
And a couple of big titles more.
I mean, they snagged Deep Silver, who did Metro, and it's talk about an under the radar gem. If you haven't played Metro, I mean that's what you're seeing here.
Yeah.
So this is Metro.
I mean, Deep Silver.
Good.
Deep Silver also published the Saints Row games.
They did,
and so we'll see where they. Yeah.
And Dead Island. I mean, so they've got some good IPs that they've acquired. We can see some really great stuff out of those from the franchise. Now, I personally would like to see a more return to form Saints Row 2 style game come out. The way that you can take on the different territories in that, and the grounded but slightly fantastical series of what Saints Row used to be. I think I would like to see a return to form on that, because
that's what Patrick wants, is slightly fantastical.
Slightly, because GTA was doing that. GTA 5 was doing that, and they've completely jumped the shark now.
Yeah.
GTA's jumped the shark. Now you have hover bikes, and you have these flying like tank things, and it's not even when people mod this. I'm talking about
that's in the regular game. Yeah, I think that they jumped the shark very deliberately, though.
Yeah.
And I think and it has paid off. They have continued to. They have found an audience for shark jumping. So there you go.
That's the next game that I want to see a developer do: shark jumping. Let us know in the comments what you think about that. If you think that that GTA has jumped the shark, or if Saints Row has Saints Row beat them to the punch on that with the.
And we do have a couple of quick side things. We don't usually talk a lot about Kickstarter, but I did want to distinguish this from the main news. We have two Kickstarter updates. System Shock, for those of you who played that, System Shock, and then System Shock 2, and that became the new version of Prey. It's a lot of it is kind of processing that idea, and it got 1.3 million on Kickstarter, but unfortunately they've had to be put on hiatus. They said that the project got too big and out of hand, so they're going to need to find more funding, which is very unfortunate. So I'm going to follow that with fortunate news. David B. Hayter is confirmed as a voice for Bloodstained, which is a game that I kickstarted that one, and so I intend to play that whenever that comes out.
Yeah.
And I very much look forward to seeing what Ega's got for us. And the artwork that we've been getting out, I wasn't prepared to put this in my predictions when we did them at the beginning of the year, but I believe that Bloodstained is coming out in this calendar year, in 2018.
I could see that.
So we'll see if that happens.
I could see that. I know that it's my own thing. Like, every time I hear Bloodstained, I think Code Vein, and I get excited for a completely different game. So when I read this, I thought he was going to be involved in Code Vein, and I was like, it's still good
that
news.
would be awesome.
But, yeah, it's still good news. But either way, good stuff. So let us know in the comments which one you're more excited about, Code Vein or Bloodstained. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks for watching This Week in Our Collective Heads. Subscribe over here and click the bell, and that way you'll know about any new videos that we put up, because we put up a lot of gameplay, a lot of stories from games and stuff like that, and gameplay is down here.
Yeah, and you got more editorials and news stuff down here. Check it out.